The one thing we did want to point out is this coming school year, for fiscal year 2012-2013, we want to highlight really the competitive nature of our tuition relative to the schools that we probably are most closely aligned with here in the area, and that's St. Raphael's and Holy Trinity. As you can see, on a full-time basis, we've disregarded the half-day kindergarten because we're the only ones that offer it, but on a full-time basis, our tuition for one child is $26.30. St. Raphael's is about $400 more than that. Holy Trinity's numbers, by the way, are actually the current school year numbers. The guess would be that that would go up $100 to $150, so they're probably in the ballpark of $200 more for a one-child family attending their school. When you get into multi-children families, it really just starts to become more of a discount here at St. Joe's than at the other two schools. Two-children family, St. Raphael's is about $700 more than we are. Holy Trinity is about $600. The thing about Holy Trinity is they do not offer a multi-child discount. So their tuition increases on an accelerated basis. You can see when you get to 3 children, their tuition is higher even than Raphael's. But our tuition is significantly lower for 3 and 4 children families than it is for St. Raphael and Holy Trinity. So really, you're probably asking, how do we tie this all together? What's the real point of all this? I wanted to step back 6 or 7 years ago from today. There's a number of families here tonight who participated in some family meetings. Pat mentioned earlier we had meetings for the school families a while ago, and we've gotten away from that. But about 7 years ago, I joined Finance Council about 8 years ago, and 7 years ago, we had a pretty significant deficit that our parish was running. And it, through the efforts of Finance Council and a number of other people, we devised a comprehensive plan to restore the parish to financial health. And there was a lot of work that went into it. A very large component of that plan was to appeal for more offertory and also to increase tuition rather significantly. We met with school families. School families were very receptive to the message and really responded well. In fact, one of the big accomplishments when we had those meetings initially, our weekly offertory averaged about $13,000 at the parish, $13,000 a week. Within a 2-year period, that number went to $20,000 per week. And based on Joe's schedule that you saw earlier, that's been flat now for the past 4 years. So really, the message today is we've gone 4 years, we've had pretty much flat offertory contributions. We have had increases in our operating expenses just like we all have at home, just like we know we have in our businesses, medical insurance costs for all the members of St. Joe's Parish staff, be it the teachers, the administrators, the staff members at the rectory. Those increases have been significant. Staff members really made big sacrifices for a number of years and had no pay increases whatsoever while we tried to get things back in order. And then here more recently, in the last couple of years, we finally were able to offer modest salary increases. So we've seen expenses go up, we've seen offertory stay flat, and we've made a decision this year, next year to cut tuition. Not the typical business decision you make if you were running a business, obviously. But this isn't a business. Father has expressed this vision of trying to reduce tuition to a point where we can make this school affordable for everybody who wants to send their kids here. I personally think that's a great goal. The bottom line, though, is it has to be collectively our goal. It can't be Father's goal. And it's parish-wide. It's not just simply our school families that have to embrace that goal. But if we want to see that kind of opportunity here for our families, we really have to embrace it through through offertory increase. It's not a sustainable concept if we continue to have offertory stay flat, operating expenses go up. We have to be able to respond by being able to do more for our parish with offertory contributions in order to cover not just the increased operating expenses, but also the opportunity to reduce tuition. One thing I do want to point out, and Father's made this a point recently at some of our Sunday masses, is this is a concept that we're trying to get all of our parish families to embrace, not just school families. That being said, I do think, and I think Finance Council agrees with me, that school families really need to be the leaders of this, especially in the short term. We are benefiting the most from the decreases in tuition. Frankly, if we had continued to operate the school the way we had 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, these last 3-4 years would have resulted in probably an extra $200 in tuition costs per child over the last 3 years. So we are getting a very significant discount in our tuition today than what we would have had we not followed Father's vision and him taking that leap of faith, hoping that we would all respond accordingly through offertory. I think the other thing that's important to know is that Father, Pat, our entire staff at St. Joe's are excellent stewards of the money that we give them. There really are no excess expenditures being made, no extravagance whatsoever. In fact, they do a lot with very little, frankly. So we can all rest assured that the monies we're contributing are really, they're being put to great use. It costs St. Joe's about $3,700 annually to educate a student here at the school. To put that in perspective, Avon Lake Public Schools and a lot of the surrounding public schools spend $10,000 per student annually. We're getting quite a bang for our buck here. We've got our teachers we put next to anybody in terms of the quality, the commitment that they make. I've had one child all the way through the school already, another one about to graduate this year, 2 more in second and third grade, and can't say enough good things about the quality of the education, both academically and from a faith perspective, that these teachers have done for our kids. And I think we all feel that way. At the end of the day, this is our parish. We have to decide how we want to support it. And hopefully we'll all support it very generously. I think someone mentioned earlier that many years ago when we had these meetings, we offered perspective. Everybody has their own financial situation. Everybody can afford certain things, and others can only afford something less. But we had given a guideline 5 or 6 years ago as a suggestion that for any school family, to the extent you can afford to do so, we should be trying to give $30 a week in offertory. And that number basically was arrived at by looking at the amount of tuition we pay compared to the cost to educate a child, but also keeping in mind that we need to do more simply than just help pay for the cost of our children's education. We have to help pay for the cost of the parish as well. We have expenses elsewhere in the parish, obviously, to run the masses, to pay for the rectory, for the staff there, and all the good things our parish does above and beyond simply offer a day school. So, today, because of Father's vision, this $30 concept really isn't applicable anymore. As you mentioned, 5-6 years ago, we became a stewardship parish. And so now really the question is, what can we afford to give relative to our personal incomes and our expenses? And the appeal today to you is just simply to look into your hearts and do the best you can to help the parish. We certainly need the contributions. Tuition reductions can't go on for any significant period of time unless we can get our parish to respond by increasing offertory, because we really just don't have expenses to cut. So please give that some thought, and the hope is that we can all really dig down deep and make our parish one of our primary focal points when we're thinking about how we spend our money day in and day out. Thank you.